You know, I remember several times waking up and our car was on blocks and smashed in windows, and we always had different last names on our mailbox. But when you look back at now, you knew that at that time those guys were over.
Exactly.
You know, when you could get that much heat.
Junior?
Pat Patterson was doing the booking at that time.
Okay, how did that come about?
They were running shows a lot in Florida, like Tampa, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and I was about 18, 19 years old, just starting really to get ready to go to Japan for the first time. So All Japan was more, I hate to use the word oriented,
right,
but more towards the tag team wrestling than it was single wrestling. You know, I remember doing many, many tours with myself and my brother and Doug and Danny Crawford, and then you had Terry Gordy and Steve Williams, Billy Black, Joel Deaton. I mean, there was just fantastics. There were some really great tag teams that were running in and out of there.
Davey Boy and Dynamite?
Mm-hmm.
Memories of working with Dynamite?
Dream come true. You know, he's the guy that kind of like, you know, set the standard for, you know, guys my size, my style, and he never ever would put us against Stan or Spivey. And it's the old never say never. And we got to the arena and Malenko brothers versus Dan Spivey and Stan Hansen, and everybody just kind of looked at us and, you know, it was a lot of fun. I think I was upside down most of the match. I can't remember exactly, but it's between Baba Inoki and Sakaguchi, where they work with each other. So if one guy wanted to jump ship, he had to get the rights and some kind of agreement, just a verbal agreement,
right,
that guy was okay to move over, and that's kind of what happened with me. It took about a week or two, and then I got a call from Fujinami saying that was good. I was good to go.
I was going to ask you one of my questions if you thought you burned a bridge or if Baba was offended, but obviously
no, not at all.
Okay.
I got to work a lot of Eddie's brothers and knew his dad through my dad, and that's the first really time I got a chance to work with Eddie. Eddie was a little standoffish at the beginning, but man, once we clicked as in-ring guys and definitely friends that we were on. I saw Chris a couple times when I was working for All Japan. I got the opportunity to watch some of the New Japan stuff on TV, and I think I ran into Chris one time. Him and Brad Armstrong were together at a train station when we were going to another arena, and we knew each other from that standpoint, but didn't really get a chance to spend some time. But once we did, kind of like Eddie, man, we clicked from the very beginning.
It said that after Eddie passed away that Chris really changed. Do you believe that?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Not that we went our own ways, but I was a producer for the company.
Right.
And Chris was an in-ring talent.
And so Chris,
I would have trusted Chris with my life and my kids.
When did you learn that something had happened?
We were in Houston, Texas. Can't remember the exact pay-per-view that was coming up. And I was assigned to the match between CM Punk and Chris Benoit. And I was excited about that, just probably as excited as Punk was, because I think that was Punk's first time an opportunity to wrestle Chris. And Chris no-showed. And for Chris Benoit not to show up at an arena, something really bad must happen. I mean, there was times where I said, you know, we should have spent more time with Chris. Maybe I could have been the difference. But you can't look at things like that in life.
Right. What do you think happened? What's your gut feeling say?
Never been a prima donna or somebody it's about me, but I did remember talking to Paul saying that I'll never follow a match that's got blood all in the ring.
What was Paul's reaction?
Just from a safety issue. He was fine with it.
I mean, I think that's what got you and Eddie so over too. Is you guys stuck out like a sore thumb, and you presented a different in-ring product than everybody else, and
opposites attract.
Yeah, that's what made you guys so special too. At the time.
I think Sabu was extremely important. He was the one guy that was, like Rob. They were doing things different than anybody else at that time. He drew a different audience than somebody like, myself or Eddie would.
What do you think?
I would say that was right down the middle. I've gotten the luxury of working with Chris a lot in tag team matches, especially when we're both working for New Japan and then ECW. And besides my brother, he's the one guy I can kind of close my eyes and always know what he was doing or where he was at, and had that one thought process between two guys at all times. Sometimes when you have somebody in the ring, like someone like Eddie, who's extremely talented, and there's that it factor, and there's a thing that you just click. But there's some guys you have it, and there's some guys that you don't. And Eddie's just that one guy that always on a constant. Every time we got in the ring, there was just something there. For Eric, what we didn't know is myself, Chris, Eddie, Mike Rotundo, and Jeff Farmer, who was a gimmick Sting back at the time. with the 5 guys still working for WCW, going back and forth. Now, we were getting a per diem on a daily basis of $200 a day. What we didn't know was that the WCW company was charging the Japanese office $15,000 a week for our services, and we never saw a dime of that.
Wow.
One thing that I thought that ECW worked was because they had the wrestling, they had the tables, everybody had their own little thing, or their little niche, and it was an opportunity it was kind of like a variety show.
What are your memories of Nancy, woman back then?
First time I really got to spend some time with Nancy was ECW. She was great to be around, and at the same time, you never know who's going to win. That was kind of the fun part. You never knew if you had Billy Kidman against Juventud Guerrero one night, or you had Eddie Guerrero against Chris Jericho at the time, or whatever the case may be. Any 2 combinations, you really couldn't call the match, and that was half the fun of the business. Terrible, no. Billy was kind of still young and up and coming, and had a lot of potential, and it was fun for me and Chris. Worked a lot of tag matches with him and Ray. Probably shouldn't have been in the wrestling business.
A lot of people say that.
Yeah, and I felt bad for him. He was a very tough predicament.
Everything seemed to come to a head when Vince Russo was sent home, and then Kevin Sullivan was back in charge. Why did everyone have an issue with Kevin when he obviously wanted to push Benoit to the moon?
Well, we were Chris's friend from number one, so kind of sticking up for Chris.
Right.
There was just so much stuff going on at one time. It was crazy. Kind of like grabbed him and put him up against the wall and said, "Remember the part where you said if we don't want to be here, we don't have to be here? Well, here's that part where I'm telling you we don't want to be here."
Wow.
So
what was Bill's reaction?
Probably a little intimidated with all of us in there. 10, 15 years prior to that, there's no secret that wherever I went, Chris was at. Wherever Chris and me were at, Eddie was at. We kind of all stuck together and made like a little bit of a pack. We first met in New Japan, so when I went to ECW, I told Paul to bring them in. When WCW would go in together, then we all went to Vince together. So that's not a coincidence. There was a reason for that. We kind of stuck together, stronger in numbers. We used to say. Me and Chris were usually on like popcorn match, like right after intermission or whatever. And we got to the arena, and I remember Terry Taylor was the guy in charge of that night, the agent. And nobody was there yet but me and Chris, so we ended up starting the night and staying out there and working and working and working. Still nobody showed up. So we got a little hot under the collar, not that we couldn't do it or we didn't have fun doing it, but it was like, okay. So Chris, do you remember the guys that are on the card? Yeah, well, I kind of do. We did everybody's finish during that match and kicked out of it. It's probably the worst match we ever had, storytelling.
Right.
It was more of a, screw you guys if you don't show up and make us go out here and do the 30 minutes. So that kind of struck the match there. And I met up with Chris and Eddie at the Holiday Inn in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We were checking in, got my key, went to turn on my left, take a step, and who do I bump right into chest to chest with Vince McMahon. Vince put out his hand, we shook hands. He kind of knew who I was, too, my dad, and of course, working for WWE. Maybe originally, I'm not really sure. I know we met with Shane and JR at a hotel.
As a group or individually?
Stanford, no, individual. I know as a group.
As a group?
Yeah.
Did you guys pretty much all get the same deal, or is it?
I think Chris got a little bit more only because of the status where he was with the company.
Okay.
In WCW, he was the champ.
Right.
So, and I was fine with that. It was one thing, we were never jealous of each other. We never, but there's 4 of us, so kind of leaned on each other a little bit, but thought it was an exciting night. And I thought it was, has it been done before? Yeah, but I don't think of that magnitude. Not 4 guys at one time. Probably the first time from that perspective ever done like that. Never really got a chance to really show his character. And that other side of him, great in-ring performer. There was another side of Eddie that was just waiting to come out. And at first I was a little standoffish, like, oh, please don't put him with somebody. He doesn't really need somebody. But to be honest with you, at the end of the day, they made each other. My career.
Eddie. What about Brock Lesnar?
Love Brock.
What was he like outside the ring?
I got to spend a lot of time with Brock and OVW.
Right.
And I rode with him a couple of times. I actually had one of his first matches with myself and Perry against Brock. And I remember
for him. Were you as close to Guerrero as anyone? So what was he like in the days leading to his passing?
Leading to his passing was fine. He was drink-free for 4 years, I think, prior to that. He was back to his pretty much back to his old self and smiling and enjoying life. He was getting ready to meet Chavo downstairs with Chris to go to the gym that day. That's when Chavo realized he's not answering the phone or whatever. So he went to his room. Of course, it was locked, and they got the manager to go in. Guy that loved the business, loved to perform. One of the most genuine, nice guys. That he really cared about his fans, cared about what people thought, sometimes too much. Well, I didn't know I was going to AEW at the time.
Okay.
So that wasn't like, I didn't know, okay, I'm going, I quit, I'm going over there. I had some other businesses, some other things that I wanted to try outside of wrestling. Not to say that you can't take a Cody and Dustin Rhodes match and plug it in.
Right.
And that stand out because everybody's doing the other stuff.
And it totally did, yeah.
And that match worked. Wow, what a night for Dustin to come back after being off for a while at 50 years old and being around like he has to go out there and put a match on like with his brother. But I enjoyed what I did. I had fun. Was giving to everybody that I wrestled with. And my goal every night was to just have a good match. It was never about me. It was always about the match. I had more fun getting other guys over or trying to get them over than worrying about me.